So the new Pure Fiction is out for version 3.6. It is called Iambic Pentameter. I guess we're writing Shakespeare sonnets now, but whatever. But yes, 3.6 is out, and we're going to clear it. We'll start by taking a look at the buffs, talk a little bit about teams, and we'll do a little demo. So for this particular Pure Fiction, the grip mechanics for this one are centered around ultimate attack. After allies use ultimate to attack enemy targets, every enemy target hit additionally accumulates 5 grit value for enemies. So this is favoring characters that are going to ultimate a lot and that are going to be doing AoE damage. So I immediately think of the Herta. Ironically, Argenti, who's the first boss, would probably work good with those mechanics. Maybe Saber, even though it looks like her element might not line up with these teams, but she's probably still going to be pretty good. Acheron is another one. And, it doesn't specify DPS or support, so hey, if you're Tribbie, it's another one that ultimates a lot and does AoE damage, so those would probably all be good teams to look at to take advantage of that mechanic. In terms of the actual grid effect, we've got Concordant Truce over to the left. After an enemy target is defeated by any unit, all allies gain 1 stack of Resound, so that's pretty normal for Pure Fiction. You want to kill the small enemies, nothing special about that. And in the Surging Grit, once you enter that mode, when entering Surging Grit, consume all Resound. Each stack of Resound deals 1 instance of set amount of damage to a random enemy target. So based on how many enemies you killed to get to Surging Grit, you'll get an instance of damage for each enemy that you killed, which again you're going to be doing anyway. It's Pure Fiction. During Surging Grit, increase enemy targets damage taken by 50%, so that's the normal Surging Grit buff. And after they're defeated by any unit, all allies additionally gain 1 stack of Resound. When Resound stacks up to 10 or higher, consumes all Resound stacks and deals 1 instance of a set amount of damage to a random enemy target per stack. Okay, so that means you get to continue doing damage for every enemy that you kill. So every 10 that you do in Surging Grit, you will get another wave of damage, basically. So all that adds up to kill a lot of small enemies, and that's what you just normally are doing in Pure Fiction anyway. So let's take a look at the bosses. We've got Argenti, so we've got a lot of physical weakness and a lot of ice weakness and a fair amount of fire weakness, which is interesting. So I wonder if we could work something with like Himiko or something at some point. And the second half, we've got the Nikador boss. So a lot of ice still, a lot of lightning, and a lot of quantum. Mostly the lightning and quantum. All right, before we get to teams then, let's just look at what buffs we have available. So the first one is Reminiscence. During Surging Grit, when an ally target uses their ultimate, increase all allies' damage dealt by 15%, stacking up to 5 times. This effect lasts until Surging Grit ends. Okay, so this is playing into the grit mechanics, which is you want to be using your ultimate as much as possible. A little unusual to me that it only works during Surging Grit, and that means you'd have to get 5 ultimates off to get all your maximum damage, and it only works in Surging Grit, and ultimately you're just getting 60% total damage anyway, which is good, but not like a huge difference. So I don't know about this one, but it does play into the mechanics. It's just a little weird to me that it only works during Surging Grit, and unlike the other ones, it doesn't build any grit. So I don't know about that one. It still might work for ultimate based characters though. Okay, second one, Memory. Upon entering Surging Grit, immediately recover 3 skill points. During Surging Grit, enemy targets take 30% more dot, and grit mechanics, every time a dot is received by an enemy target, additionally accumulates 1 grit value for allies. So this is an easy one. It's dot. You'll do more damage with dot. You'll build more grit. You'll get free skill points. I feel like this was in the last Pure Fiction, like this exact buff. Maybe I'm not remembering it correctly, but it was something very similar. Either way, it's Dot. So play your Hysilens Kafka team with this one. That's an easy one. Epiphany. During Surging Grit, increase all allies' speed by 20%, and after using a skill, apply 1 stack of Resound to all allies. And Grit mechanics. After allies use skill to attack enemy targets, every enemy target additionally accumulates 3 grit value for allies. So, ironically, I like this one probably better for the Herta. I mentioned her as being kind of the frequent ultimate attacker as the AoE attacker option, but she's really more of a skill damage character, so like this might match more. So like you're gonna want to skill a lot, which is nice because the part during the Surging Grit, it's just a skill. It doesn't have to be a skill attack. So that means even like your Harmony characters or whoever who aren't doing any damage, if they skill, they're building a stack for each ally. So that's 4 stacks per skill. So that's pretty cool. And then the ones that do skill attack are gonna help you build grit very fast if they're an AoE attacker. So every enemy that gets hit with the skill attack gives you 3 grit. So that's potentially 15 grit per skill attack. So that's pretty substantial. So, any of your skill attackers, a lot of your ultimate attackers are also going to be skill attackers. So the Herta, even regular Herta, ironically, your Dot teams also do this, but anybody that's doing AoE skill attacks would probably work good with that. So on that note, let's actually look at teams. In the first half, like we said, it's going to be primarily ice and physical. I'm just going to tell you now, what are probably the top 4 teams right now are Castris, Finon, the Herta, and the Dot team. And surprise, surprise, those are your 4 best choices for these fights. So you could play the Herta or Finon in the first half, or you could play Castris of the Dot team in the second half. I think there are some variations. If you're playing Evernight solo, you could probably play her in the first half. And in the second half, you could probably try like Acheron. That would be an interesting alternative pick for that. I'm curious if I might try Saber at some point, even though she's off element with these fights. Her mechanics otherwise are pretty good. I'm wondering if maybe in the second half with Tribbie kind of helping her with the quantum enemies, maybe that would be an interesting pick. Like I wonder if you could do like Tribbie and Silverwolf or something with Saber would be interesting. But for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to go full try-hard mode. So what I'm going to prefer to use is going to be the Herta on the first half. So I'm going to pick the Herta. I'm going to run Tribbie. So her best team, or the best team that I have available. Tribbie, Jade, and we'll run... Do I want to run Lingsha or Hysilens? I think we'll run Lingsha, because there was fire weak enemies. And like I said, I think I prefer the skill buff for the Herta team in this case. We'll still get the grit building from the ultimates, which will be nice, and we'll also get it from the skills. Okay, and then in the second half, like I said, I'm going to play the Dot team. So we're going to pick Hysilens, Kafka, Black Swan, and Huohuo, and we will pick the Dot buff. Okay, So like I said, as alternatives with popular teams, you could probably play Finon in the first half and its casters in the second half. Those would probably be your other next best options. But I'm going to go with these. Okay. So I actually don't have a Naxa, who would normally be the best in slot for the Herta. Although, in pure fiction, Jade is just as good, if not better, than an Naxa, so we will be perfectly fine in this situation. As far as my Eidolons and Light Cones, I have E2S1 the Herta, so she's going to be pretty strong. I've got E1 Tribbie with Dance Dance Dance. I've got E1S1 Jade. And if you're not familiar with Jade, her E1 gives you... you can't build less than 3 stacks, so it kind of helps even if you're fighting smaller amounts of enemies. In this battle, it doesn't really do anything, so the E1's not really that consequential in this case. And then my Lingsha is E0S0, and I frankly don't remember what light cone I have on her, but I do not have her light cone or any Eidolons, so she's low investment there. Okay. So I do put Jade's ability on the Herta in this fight. There's an argument to be made to put her on Lingsha, who might get more stacks faster, but I like to have the buff on the Herta. And you'll notice with the Herta, of course, if I have a return coming up, I'm going to let her skill first before I use her ult, so that I basically get an extra skill attack. So now I'm going to use her ult, and that will action advance her. And with her E2, you get 2 stacks of her enhanced basic, or enhanced skill from her ultimate, which means you're pretty much always going to have her enhanced skill. And then with her light cone, you always have a skill point, so it's very convenient. So we're just hammering away at everybody. This is what the Herta does. We haven't even skipped a turn yet, and we're about to get to the 3rd wave. Yep, there we go. Well, I'm not going to 0 cycle this one, at least. See, now in that time, I've got like multiple turns before it was the Herta's turn, so it was worth using her ultimate. Because you also don't want to waste... You don't want to wait too long, because every time character's using their ultimate, it's building energy for you, so you don't want to waste that. And I also makes it so I can get another enhanced skill in before the Surging Grit runs out. There's the little things you got to watch if you really want to squeeze as much out as possible. So I mentioned I don't have our Anaxa yet. He is coming out as of recording in like a day, and I am going to try to get him this time. But like I said, I would probably have used Jade in this fight anyway, so... Like, she just puts out great, consistent, free damage in pure fiction. How many? Yeah, I got enough. Just gotta always watch your skill points to make sure that you don't miss Tribbie skilling in the rare times that she has to do it, and Jade skilling in the slightly less rare times she has to do it. Of course, now I did actually mess up a little bit because I don't have a skill point available for the Herta, but she's going to get her ult in a second, which is going to let me action advance her anyway, and that will give me another skill point and more enhanced skills. Okay, I'm going to keep attacking first before I use the skill. Build those stacks up. Has a lot of stacks, actually. Okay, good. I can get another enhanced skill in before Surging Grit by advancing with the ultimate. Get that big damage. I tell you, the HP on these bosses these days is crazy. Oh, we'll get one more Lingsha shot in before. That is just a crazy amount of HP. Like, I'm hitting him 1.7 million and did like 2% damage or something. A little more than that, maybe like 4. Okay, so that's that fight. Now let's blow up Nikador here. So if you haven't seen my videos before, I have E6 Kafka. It's my 1E6. She's my favorite character. And I have E2 S1 Hysilens. So, like, this is the dot team. So, E2 S1 Hysilens, E6 S1 Kafka. I do use her light cone because once you get above E4, that switches back over to being her light cone. Before that, if you're under E4, you should probably use before the tutorial mission starts with her. And then I've got E1 S0 Black Swan with the, I think it's the Sampo light cone. And E0 S0 Huohuo. She's doing her best. So E6 Kafka just gets so much energy. You can see I just use my ult and I have like 75% energy already. I probably shouldn't even use the Huohuo ult there. Actually, no, from the Kafka's follow-up I might get her ult. But yeah. I love the dot team because I love seeing all the color numbers splashing all over the screen all the time. But it is a pretty brain-dead team. This is basically make sure that Huohuo has a skill to heal if you need it, and make sure Kafka always skills. Other than that, it doesn't really matter that much of Hysilens skills. I mean, it does matter a little bit to get the energy gain, and there is some benefit to it. And it doesn't really matter too much of Black Swan skills. If I got the skill points, I'll use it with them. And just make sure, like right now, I do have a skill point for Huohuo. And I'm going to use the Hysilens skill and basic with Black Swan. And that'll make sure I have a skill point for Kafka. Alright, Hysilens will easily mop this guy up. And that should let me get a shot in before Surging Grit runs out. Kafka casually dropping 4 million on them, you know. That's the... I'm sure it's the E6. Blame it on that. Call me a whale if you want. I'm having fun. Okay, I don't really need to heal, and I will still get my ult, I think, with a basic. Yeah. And that'll... trigger Kafka's ult there. Oh, right, when we go to Surging Grit in this version, we get 3 skill points, right? So that means we can just keep skilling. Hysilens E1 also incredibly powerful for the dot team, because you are basically doubling the dots that you can apply. And combine that with well, and her E2 is good too, but combine that with the E6 Kafka, and this is a really, really strong team. Like, it's a pretty good team, even if they were E0. I would still put it in probably a distant 4th place at E0 compared to the top 3 teams, which I think our caster is fine on in the Herta. But I think they're probably number 4 at E0s. Once you start throwing Eidolon, it's a little more tricky. Like, I might put... That's actually a good question. I might put a Glaya E1 in 4th place. A Naxa might be in that conversation too. Maybe when I get him, assuming I get him, that'll be an interesting test we can have. Who is the 4th best team in Honkai Star Rail right now? That's an exciting question, right? Okay, so there you go. Second half, no trouble, obviously. Mop that one up. We got our perfect 80,000 points. So plenty of room to play around with there. I've tested a few other things, like doing Acheron and stuff, and they were all fine clearing the 30,000. I've tried Acheron. I tried Evernight Solo, who actually got 40,000 without any problems. So you do have some other options, but those top 4 teams are going to be your best choice, as they usually are. So that'll do it then for my run here. Let me know how your Pure Fiction went. If you're having some trouble, post it in the comments. Maybe I can help you out. And we'll catch you over next time. Bye.